We've had a place of worship on this site for 1,200 years. We started off with an Anglo-Saxon abbey, then we had a Norman cathedral, and then in 1499 this current present church was started. Bath Abbey, which is the last great medieval church to have been built in England. Building work on it began around 1499, but was not completed and used as a parish church until 1616, which means it took nearly 120 years from start to finish. 3 different churches have occupied the site of today's abbey since 757 AD. First an Anglo-Saxon monastery, which was pulled down by the Norman conquerors of England, then a massive Norman cathedral, which was begun about 1090, but lay in ruins by late 15th century, and finally the present Abbey Church as we know it today. So we're very famous for our ceiling. The Abbey's beautiful ceiling is considered one of the finest examples of fan vaulting in the country. The stone vaulting at the east end of the Abbey dates from the early 1500s and was built by master architects Robert and William Virtue. However, the ceiling wasn't finished until the Abbey was restored in the 17th century, which is why we can see a slight difference between the vaulting at the east end of the church and the west end over the nave. So Bath Abbey is built in a Gothic perpendicular style. So if you look at the windows, they have the point at the top, which is the Gothic style, and our columns are the perpendicular, soaring up. The first king of all England was actually crowned on this site in 973. He was King Edgar. So we have over 1,400 memorials. We have 600 on the walls and about 800 on the floors. Actually, only Westminster Abbey has more wall memorials than us out of all the churches in the country. We have 10 bells at Bath Abbey. Each bell is attached to one of these ropes. Our bells are hung in an anti-clockwise direction from highest to lowest. It's an unusual format. Normally they go around clockwise, but ours were hung so long ago that it actually predates that custom. When we can't get 10 people up those stairs to ring the bells, we do have some other ways to play them. This is an Elecom chiming device, and it means that one person can play all 10 bells. Clock mechanism, all the workings of it dates back to 1888, but the clock has been in this position since 1834. Originally it was slightly higher up on the tower, but we moved it down to make it more visible, and also because the weight of the mechanism was causing the tower to shift slightly. It was leaning, so we brought it down here, made it much more secure. Lovely, so these are our 10 bells. Just here we have our lightest, and down here is our heaviest, the tenor bell, that weighs 1.5 tons. In 1771, we had a bit of an accident to do with our tenor bell. For some reason, we're not sure why, it fell down. The bell ringers who were ringing below got a little bit scared and came up and saw that it had fallen onto the floor. Unfortunately, the Abbey didn't have enough money to hire a team of professionals to rehang the bell, so it fell to a member of our congregation to do so. He gathered up a small team and they lifted the bell back up into place. They didn't enjoy the job too much though, so after they did it, they set up a bell fund, meaning they could raise money to pay for a professional to come and rehang it if it did happen again.